We have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Thought is matter. You may not accept this, but go into it, examine it. Is there something beyond matter? How will you find out? Hello and welcome to episode 239 of Urgency of Change. Each episode of the Krishnamurti podcast features carefully selected clips from the archives. The aim is to represent different aspects of Krishnamurti's radical approach to many of the issues and questions we all face in our lives. This week's theme is matter. Upcoming themes are choice, space, and memory. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. Please visit the official YouTube channel for hundreds of full-length video and audio recordings of Krishnamurti's talks and discussions. In addition, the Foundation's own channel features a large collection of specially selected clips. You can also find our regular quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app, which helps our visibility. This week's episode on matter has 4 sections. This first extract is from Krishnamurti's third talk in Saanen, 1974, and is titled, Is All Existence Matter?
We're going to, if we may this morning, concern ourselves with what is called materialism. Materialism means having an opinion or evaluating life as matter. I'm going to go slowly. Please follow this. Matter, its movement, its modification, also consciousness and will as matter. That is what the materialists maintain. Please, you have to understand a little bit of this. Because we have to find if there is anything more than matter and go beyond it. And therefore it's not merely an intellectual amusement and investigation, but rather a deep inquiry whether our minds, our whole relationship, our social, economic, and religious life is entirely material. In the sense, materialism means having an opinion that all existence is matter. Its movement, its modification, also its consciousness and will. Please, you have to understand this little bit. Because we are ruled by our senses. Or taste, smell, touch, and so on. Sensations play a great part in our life. And thought, the capacity to think, is also material. That is, the brain, if you examine it, I'm not a specialist on brain. If you examine, if you are rather aware of your activities, you will see that the brain cells hold memory. Memory as experience and knowledge. And when the cells hold that, it is material, it is matter. So thought is matter. And one can imagine or construct through thought, as thought, otherness, which is not matter, but it is still matter. That is, we know that we live in a material world. Based on our sensations, desires, emotions, and we have constructed a consciousness which is essentially the product of thought, with its content. We know that, if you have gone into it very deeply and seriously, not just romanticize about it. Knowing that, we say there must be otherness, something beyond that. So thought begins to investigate the other. When thought investigates the other, it is still material. Please, this is important to understand, because we are all so romantically minded. All our religions are sentimental, romantic. And living in this very small field of materialism, we want to have something much greater, beyond. That's a natural desire. So thought constructs a verbal and non-verbal structure of God, otherness, immensity, timelessness, and so on, so on. But it is still the product of thought. So it is still material. Please don't agree or disagree. We are not doing propaganda, not trying to convince you of anything. And I really mean it. It is for you to examine, to listen, to find out. So, thought creates the form outside, thinking that form, that image, that prototype, the original type, is not material. But the form is the product of thought. The ideal is still the product of thought. So it is still material. And if you go to India or in the East, they will tell you that we accept that. But there is a higher self. There is a super consciousness which dominates the material, or it is enclosed in the material, as you have the soul. There they call it by a Sanskrit word, Atman and so on. But the Atman, the super consciousness, the soul, is still the product of thought. Of course it is. You understand? So thought is matter. And whatever its movement, inside, outside, trying to go beyond itself, is still material. So the problem arises, is the mind mechanical? That is the mind your mind? Your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions, your responsibilities, your relationship, your way, your opinions, and so on, are they merely mechanical? That is, responding according to its conditioning, according to its environmental influences, and so on. And if that is the totality of the mind, then we live in a tremendous, inescapable prison. You're following all this? Do please give some of your attention to this. Yet this has been the problem of man right through the ages. He knows he lives by the senses, by your desires, by your touch, by your appetites, sexual, intellectual, otherwise. And he questions, is that all? Then he begins to invent the gods, the super consciousness, and so on, so on, so on. And having projected a form, he then pursues it. And he thinks he's tremendously idealistic or tremendously religious. But his pursuit of what he calls God or truth or whatever is still the product of thought, which is material. You have understood? See what we are doing. See what the churches, the temples, the mosques have done to us. To each one of us, this sense of great deception on which you have been fed, and we think we're extraordinarily idealistic. When one realizes that, seriously, it is rather a shock. Because you are stripped of all illusion. So you then begin to ask, if you have gone that far seriously, is there a movement other than the movement of thought. You following? How does one find out? Now, to find that out, we must examine what is cause, causation. If I am trying to find out something beyond the material, what is the cause of my search? You are understanding? The cause of my search is either an escape from this or a cause. No, I'm thinking with you, and I have to inquire. I'm inquiring. I'll do it for you. You see, cause means a motive. Is all my inquiry motivated? Because if I have a cause, the root of that is either pleasure or the escape from fear or total dissatisfaction with what is, and therefore the cause projects its own answer. You're following this? Therefore, to inquire into the other, my mind must be without cause. You're following all this? As we said the other day, and we're saying it again today, there must be a transformation in the mind. Not peripheral reformation, but a revolution deep in the mind to solve our problems. The problems which thought has created, whether religious problems or economic, social model and so on. And if one is enormously serious, not flippant, not merely amused by intellectual theories, a philosophy that is invented by thought, then we must be concerned and totally committed to this question of transforming the content of consciousness. This content makes up consciousness. And we went into that. I'm not going to go over and over again, same thing. And who is the entity that is to change it? And we said, the observer is the observed. When there is a division between the observer and the observed, me and the not me, there is conflict. And that is essentially a waste of energy. And when you look into it, you will find that the observer is the observed. Therefore, you remove conflict altogether. And you have enormous energy, because it is no longer wasted in conflict. Now, this energy is either in the field of thought, or it is an energy totally different from thought. Thought creates its own energy. That's obvious. So we're asking now whether a mind that is so burdened, so conditioned, so shaped by materialistic thought, for such a mind, is there a movement other than that of thought? So we have this problem. The problem which man, right from the beginning, has sought to solve, which is all life mechanical? Is all life material? Material in the sense which you have explained, which is the having an opinion or evaluation that all existence is matter. Its movement, its modification, please listen to all this carefully, and also consciousness with its will is also matter. Your whole life is that. You may pretend it's not, but actually it is that. Having that, being enclosed in that, thought creates a form, the ideal, the supreme, the highest form of excellence, great nobility, the gods and all the things that thought has put together in the world, the immense technological movement, and the tradition and the gods. It is all matter. And living on this shore, as it were, which we are, our wars, our battles, our hatreds, our political appall, all that. We are on this side of the river, which is matter. And mind says, I want to go across. There must be something there. Because this life is too stupid. And it is stupid. But just to go to the office, earn money, responsibility, struggle, competition, worry, despair, anxieties, immense sorrow, and then die. And we say, that's not good enough. We put it more philosophically. in more extravagant romantic languages if you wish, and we want something more. And then we say, how am I to cross this river to go to the other shore? You're following all this? We want to cross the river to the other shore. Then we ask, who will take us across? And when you ask that question, there is the priest, the guru, the man who knows. And he says, follow me. And then you are done. Because he is exactly like you. Because he still functions within the field of thought. I don't know if you see this for yourself. Because he has created the form. Your gods, your Jesus, your the Buddha, Krishna. He's created the form. And that form is as materialistic as your sensations. That form is the product of thought. Now, if that is absolutely clear, no romantic escapes, no ideological washing of hands and comfort and all the rest of that tummy rot, which leads to such illusions, if that is absolutely clear, that any movement and modification within the field of consciousness is merely moving one object to another, from one object to another place. But it is still within the field of thought. You understood this? So what is the mind to do or not to do? I see, first, such a mind must be in total order. You understand? Material order. Because if it is in disorder, it can't go away from itself. You've understood? That is, I hope you're doing this with me. Huh? Please do it as I'm talking. Thought is matter, and all its activity within this consciousness has created an extraordinary sense of confusion and disorder. Politically, religiously, socially, morally, in relationship, in every direction, it has created disorder. Your life. Unless there is absolute order, and I'm using the word absolute, not relative, unless there is absolute order within that area, the cause to move away from that area is still the product of disorder. So there must be order.
The second extract is from the first question and answer meeting at Rajghat in 1981 and is titled, Is Thought a Material Process?
You often say that thought is material process. What does this mean? What is material? Go on, sir. What is material? Matter, right? Is that so? Agree? It's a thought, as we explained, is contained in the cells of the memory, of the brain. This is a fact. This is what the scientists, including, I'm not a scientist, I've been saying this for many years. Scientists are saying that. The brain cells hold the memory, and so the cells themselves are material. Right? So it's a material process. Therefore, there is nothing sacred about thought. But you can treat matter as sacred. A rock is a sacred thing. A tree is a sacred thing. The fish that live in that river is a sacred thing. You can make anything into sacred. But that which makes things sacred is still material process. The idols, whether they are in the Christian church or in the Hindu or this writing in the Muslim world, are the result of thought. Therefore, it's a material process, the whole thing. Only when thought, naturally, without conflict, without struggle, comes to an end, which is time, then there is a possibility of that which is eternal. So you say, tell me how to end thought. Tell me the system, the practice, I'll do it for the rest of my life. So you're back again, same old. But if you see, if you are aware, give attention to what you are thinking and follow it through. That requires very careful, slowing down the whole movement of thought. Not suppression, control, just the slowing down of thought. We'll talk about meditation.
The third extract is from Krishnamurti's sixth talk in Ojai 1980 and is titled, Can the Mind Investigate Something Beyond Matter?
Thought, which is part of the mind and brain, thought is seeking this constant movement of security, right? And not finding it there, it must inevitably invent something which becomes an illusion. That also is a reality, right? Illusion is a reality. So the mind must be free to understand, to investigate if there is something beyond the matter. Mind must be free of any kind of illusion, right? Illusion is belief. Illusion is faith. Illusion is dependence. You follow? So can the mind be free of any form of illusion? Otherwise you can't go further. Not you. The brain can't, mind cannot move further. That is to see that you have, to be aware that you have illusions and end it. Not keep in the background and try to investigate. And you're playing games. So, can the mind Be free of the desire to create illusions. Right? That's part of meditation. Not just sitting in a place and 10 minutes be silent. Morning, evening, afternoon, whenever you do it. And the rest of the day be mischievous, egocentric. Right? So, scientists, astrophysicists are always asking this question. If they are serious, not merely inventive and business scientists. Is there something beyond matter? You understand? Is there something beyond thought? Because thought is matter, right? Because it's held in the brain cells, the memory, experience, knowledge, held in the brain cells. Therefore, it's still matter. And thought is matter. You follow? You may not accept it, go into it. Examine it. So, is there something beyond matter? How will you find out? Scientists and others, astrophysicists and so on, are looking out there, right? Outside of themselves. Right? We are saying, when you know how to look at yourself, which also matter, this going, understanding yourself, looking at yourself, going there, you have, it is much more real than the other. This you can test, you understand? In your daily actions, you can test this. That becomes merely a theory. I don't know if you're following all this. Are you sure? I hope you're enjoying the sunny weather. If you're not interested in this, look at the trees, the beauty of the trees, the sun through the leaves, and the distant mountains on their line, the beauty of the sky. But if you are sensitive to that, then you will be sensitive to what is being said. So, what is the state of the mind, consciousness, that can discover of I'm using the word know in rather wide sense. You know, the word know is very limited, isn't it? You can say to your wife, I know you. But do you actually know your wife or your husband or your boyfriend? You don't. You only know according to the image that you have built about her or him. So, here, the word know becomes, when you say I know, something beyond, you have destroyed it. You understand what I'm saying? So meditation is not something you practice. It is the understanding of the whole movement of life. Right? the sorrow, the pain, the anxiety, the aggression, the loneliness. Otherwise, if the mind isn't free of all that, your meditation is worthless. You understand? You know, there are these gurus that have come from India have brought up there many, many forms of systems, superstitions, and concepts. There are the Tibetan meditation, right? The Zen meditation, the meditation to awaken. So I'm just using their phraseology, don't jump on me. Meditation to awaken their kundalini. Various forms of yoga. Yoga, the real meaning of that word is to join, right? That is to join, according to them, to join the lower material existence to the highest. The practices of yoga, you know, which you breathe and take various postures and all that, was invented about the 18th or the 17th century by a man or a group of people who wanted occult powers. Which is through control, through forcing, follow, through direction. They said this, we might awaken extrasensory perception. I'm putting in the modern word. And I've been practicing it. But there is only one yoga, which is called Raja Yoga, in which there is no practice, no artificial exercises, walking, swimming, natural, and a tremendously moral life, in which there is integrity. You follow? That is real yoga, not all this thing that you play along with. And when you understand the nature of a system in meditation, you understand all the systems, right? Whether it's the Tibetan, Zen, or your own particular kind of native guru, not the imported gurus, but your own native ones. If you understand all one system of theirs, you have understood all the systems with regard to meditation, which is they are based essentially on control, concentration, practice, right? Do this and that every day. That is, including Zen, is to make the mind more and more dull. Which is to repeat, repeat, repeat. You understand? I hope you understand all this. And these gurus also come along and give you what they call mantra. You've heard about all this. I'm sorry you are burdened by all this business. The word mantra means, the root of it, man-tra, two different words. The first word, man, means meditate, listen to it carefully, meditate or ponder over, not becoming. You understand? Not to become something. Tra means, I'm bored with all this stuff. Tra means put away all self-central activity. You understand? Mantra means meditate or ponder over, be concerned with not becoming. You understand? You understand that, sir? Don't become anything. You may become something in material world, but don't become inwardly anything. And if you have any self-centered activity, put away that. That's the real meaning of that. And look what they've reduced it to. So, system, whether Tibetan, Burmese, Zen, or the Hindu or the Christian, when there is a repetition, which means you repeat hoping to achieve something. And that system is invented by your guru or your super guru and so on. And you merely follow. Right? That you follow some authority. Therefore, your mind becomes infantile, narrow, mechanical, without any substance behind it. So when you understand one system, finished. You understand? You don't have to go to Japan to understand the Zen Buddhism, or to India, or go all the rest of it. The word Zen comes from the Sanskrit word dhyanam. It went first after the Buddhist period, or during the Buddhist period, to China. A monk carried it there. And as the Chinese and the Japanese cannot probably pronounce dhya, they turn it into Zen. And that has become almost sacred. So, meditation is the ending. The ending of your greed. The ending of your attachment. Right? Because then only the mind is free. Then only the mind has no problems. It's only such a mind that can go beyond. That is, the mind with its consciousness. The consciousness is made up of all the content. You understand? The content makes consciousness. Your greed, your envy, your anxiety, your loneliness, your beliefs, your attachments, your pursuit of safety. You follow? All that, your will, is the content of our consciousness. And to go beyond, to find out, or rather, to see, to observe there is something beyond all this, mind must be completely free of all its content. This is rational. This is not illogical. You understand? Then the mind is empty. Emptiness is full of energy, as they're also saying scientists, right? When the mind is empty, there is nothing. Nothing, which means not a thing created by thought. Such a mind being empty, that mind is full of energy. Right? You don't know about it. Don't go into it unless you have done all the other things. It is just a lot of words. Then, is there something beyond energy? What is the origin of energy? You understand? Not God. All that is being set aside completely. Is there something beyond this energy? The origin of this energy. There is, if a mind is totally empty, knows compassion and love, that such a mind will come upon it.
The final extract in this episode is from Krishnamurti's 6th talk in Ojai 1979 and is titled Thought as Matter Comes to an End.
Isn't your mind occupied all the time with something or other? Yes? See the tragedy of it. If you're a housewife, you're occupied with, a businessman occupied, a physicist occupied, personal problems, political problems. It's constantly has no space but occupied. You understand? Now, can the mind not be occupied? And that is only possible when you end the problems. Most people are occupied because if they are not occupied, what will they do? Either they want to be entertained, or they see themselves being so hopelessly lost and they get depressed. Or they say, well, as I'm not occupied, I'll go and gossip with somebody. You follow? This constant occupation with something or other. Are you aware of this fact? Therefore, when the mind, which is your consciousness, is occupied, there is no space. And therefore, it's only in space something new can come into being. You understand? And that space cannot be created by thought. But seeing the truth that occupation denies space, and being occupied implies constant mechanical movement, which is very destructive to the whole human nature and the brain. Seeing the truth of it, you dissolve, you end it. So you are not occupied except when it's necessary. Otherwise, space. You understand? I don't think you do. Because then, in that space, you have an enormous sense of energy. That energy is not the energy of self-centered activity. Right? I hope you understand this. So now we have gone into this question. Relationship, time, not registering, and space. The next question is, why has man, human beings, always talked about religion? You know, I must tell you something. Two friends were walking one day in a nice street, and one of them sees something, picks it up from the pavement. And the moment he looks at it, his face lights up. He's delighted. Something extraordinary takes place in his eyes, and puts it in his pocket. And his friend says to him, "What did you pick up? And why did your face become so marvelously beautiful?" And the friend says, "That was truth I picked up and put it in my pocket. I'm going to keep it. It's a marvelous thing." And the friend says, "Let us organize it." That's what have religions become, right? And therefore, religions have become an anathema to most intelligent people. But beyond that word, beyond all the ritualism and all the crosses and all the circus that goes on in religions, is there anything untouched by thought? Thought being material process. Is there anything which is timeless? Is there anything which is absolute truth? Something which is wholly sacred. Understand do you understand? Human beings have sought this at all times. They want to inquire, they want to find out, but they get trapped into something or other. Into Catholicism, into Protestantism, into Buddhism, into some ism. And then they're lost. But if one puts aside all that, and one begins to inquire if there is or if there is not, to find out, one must have a mind that's absolutely silent. Right? It must be under no pressure, under no motive, without any direction. Otherwise you can't explore. Otherwise the mind is incapable of discovering something totally timeless, if there is. So, to find out, for that's extraordinary thing, if it is to happen, the mind must be in a state of complete, absolute silence. Obviously. Is that possible? Man, throughout the ages, has tried this. He said you must control thought. You must control all your emotional responses, your desires, control, so as to bring about a mind that is without a sense of struggle, a sense of effort. And perhaps out of that you can have an absolute silence. You're following all this? Man has tried this. You may not have. This is part of the old tradition, that to find out something that is immeasurable, all measure, which is the movement of thought, must end. Now we're asking, can time, thought come to an end? Not science fiction time and space, but time, as we have explained, which is the movement of thought. Can thought come to an end? Or must thought keep everlastingly be moving, moving, moving? You understand? To find that out, you must understand, as we did, went into the nature of thought, which we did. So, can thought, which has built up our world, outward world, and also the inward world, right? Thought has been responsible for this. Thought is a material process. Thought is the result of all the knowledge, etc., stored up in the brain, which is a matter. Therefore, thought is material process. Anything that thought tries to discover, which is beyond itself, thought itself must come to an end. You understand? You understand this logic? You understand, sir? So can one find out if thought can completely end, except where it is necessary? That is, learning a language, talking, so on. How will you find out? How will you, inquiring if there is something beyond all this confusion, misery, sorrow, this travail of humanity, of which one is, to find out if there is something that thought has never touched? How will you find out? That's part of meditation. Not only to have the body absolutely quiet, absolutely, and also to have a mind that is not occupied with anything. With your personal problems, with world problems. Because you are the world is not separate from you. So, to find that out, if there is or if there is not, something beyond all this, that's part of meditation. It's not part of search. If you search, then you are searching with a motive and a desire. Then what you find is what you have already found. So, meditation is the ending of all the content of one's consciousness. Anger, jealousy, anxiety, which is our consciousness, which is what the freeing of the mind of all its content. Then only there is that absolute silence. not brought about by will, by desire, by thought, then only it's possible for something that which is not put together by thought can come into being.